Ladies and gentlemen, the one and only
I'm not just any gorilla. You'll see.
This is certainly a big technical undertaking, this film. And I wondered if you could talk a little bit about how your own theater background helped prepare you for this.
It didn't help me in any way for the technical aspect of the movie, I can tell you that. But what it did, of course, prepare me for was probably the most important part, in a way, of how to build these characters and to build the performances of the CGI animals. All of that started with the voice actors coming in, recording their lines. We did it hundreds of times because every nuance is different and has an effect on the animation. I then together with my editor, we edited their voices together like a radio play. We would then give those to the animators, who then would begin the process of bringing the animals to life. But what that meant was, to get back to your question, was that I got to have time in the booth with these amazing actors, with no hair and makeup, no costume, no lighting, no camera. We didn't have to worry about any of those aspects. It was just purely performance. And it meant that they could almost go back to the purity of what it is that they do. And that was a gift. With the level of casting that we had, that was really a gift.
Why do they want an angry gorilla anyway?
You're a silverback. He terrifies humans.
Ben Bishop, I believe is his name, who was the stand-in for Ivan and has had experience playing a gorilla before. How does that side of it work?
Let's take a scene between Ivan and Bob. Okay, so I would record the scene first with Danny DeVito and Sam Rockwell. Then I would get with Ben and with a guy called Ashley. So Ashley was puppeteering Bob, and he would have a puppet that was roughly the same size. And we would literally rehearse the physicality. We would rehearse the same scene as I had done with Danny and Sam, but we would rehearse it now on a stage, so as to begin to block where I wanted them to be, what the movements would be, when they would get up, when they would speak and talk at the same time, when they would jump up onto a log. And that whole side of a performance was built with them and me, again, in a very theatrical rehearsal way.
How do you direct a human as a gorilla?
He is so good and so willing to literally give himself up, and has studied a lot of gorilla movement and behavior. So there was a lot that he could teach me, but equally I could keep pushing with him in terms of performance. So for example, if you take the scene where Ivan has to say goodbye to Mac, I wanted it to feel real in terms of what a gorilla would do in that moment, and when he would be willing to come forward and when he would be more wanting to shirk away. But equally, I needed it to be true to Ivan and the performance of this main character and what he would do. And I felt very, very confident that Ben always understood what I wanted, or I would ask him to do something slightly different and he would do it slightly differently, just like with any other actor. Mm-hmm. So physically, as they come together, that was a combination of Ben's instinct and Brian's instinct, and then me asking them to do certain things or to do it in certain moments and in certain ways.
It's the wild. It's how Ivan wants things to be.
Sometimes you just have to take a leap of faith.
Now, you also had mentioned, in terms of Bob, that there was essentially a puppet that was used on set when you were staging it, blocking it out. And I heard that was referred to as a stuffy. I wondered, where do those end up after the fact? Is there a Bob stuffy somewhere?
There is a Bob stuffy. There are stuffies for all of the animals, and they are incredibly real. It's kind of weird. It was really important that the coloring of the stuffies reflected as closely as possible what we wanted the animals to really look like, so that for the camera department, when they were lighting the scene, they really were lighting it properly for a dog or for the poodle or whoever it was.
Ivan!